Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, Editor-in-Chief of Total Retail. I'm joined on today's episode by Amanda Hayes, the Director of Corporate Communications, Diversity, and Inclusion at JOANN Stores. Amanda and I are going to be discussing a little bit about JOANN and its partnership with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So thanks for joining me today, Amanda.
Thank you so much for having me. I am always glad to talk about our partnership with this incredible organization.
Yeah, such a worthy cause, and I'm looking forward to our conversation. So to get us started, let's jump right into it and have you tell our audience a little bit about that partnership between JOANN and St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
Sure. So JOANN began our partnership with St. Jude with a 2017 Thanks and Giving campaign. And since then, we've been proud to raise more than $5 million actually to help further the mission. And what we know at JOANN is that our customers and our team members are both incredibly giving. And through research, we found that St. Jude was one of the top causes that our customers and our team members were interested in supporting. So since 2017, each holiday season, which typically runs from the 1st of November through the end of January, which is our biggest time of year, we invite customers and team members to really rally behind this incredible cause. And if you're not familiar with JOANN, we run more than 800 stores across the nation. And in this campaign annually, customers can round up at the register, or they can also make a $1, a $5, or a $10 donation. And in exchange for their donation, we give them a great coupon to come back and finish their holiday shopping. And then, we've really expanded in a multitude of ways since 2017. We've hosted events in stores called Create to Give campaigns, where we've knitted blankets, we've knitted hats, we've created ornaments and cards to send to St. Jude, really rallying again our customers behind that connection to JOANN and to St. Jude's mission. And then, we also have even developed some specific fabrics that are available for purchase that are designed by St. Jude patients, and the proceeds go back to support St. Jude.
It's great to hear that this has been an ongoing partnership between the two organizations since 2017, and some of the different ways that you're contributing to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital through your customers and through your employees at JOANN. So leads into my second question in terms of, this is such a great partnership and a great thing. What are you doing at JOANN to create awareness both among your customers and employees about the St. Jude Thanks and Giving campaign?
Sure. So definitely, as we've kind of evolved and grown our partnership, we've really come to realize the education piece about St. Jude and where exactly donations are going has been paramount to our increased success. And we've seen increased excitement year after year. Every single year, the campaign has grown in terms of the funds that we've been able to raise and the awareness that we've been able to drive. And really, that begins with our awesome partners at St. Jude. So every year, every single one of our stores receives a welcome package to kick off the campaign. And it includes all kinds of information about where the money goes, how much money it takes to, for instance, sponsor a blood transfusion or even just a meal at St. Jude, because we know that this incredible organization never charges a patient or their family for any of their treatment, travel, etc. So that kind of information and background detail has really helped our team members understand exactly what they are asking of our customers when they are asking for a donation. And they're able to share that information with the customers so that they know, again, exactly where the dollars are going. And our team members out in the stores, they love to show their pride. This has really been a rallying point for our store teams and teams across the organization at headquarters and in our distribution centers across the US. We are aligned with an organization with such a well-known and well-respected brand and mission. So we have swag that team members are able to wear proudly. We have trackers that come in that welcome box so that our stores can kind of track where they are in terms of fundraising. We put out a weekly report to kind of drive a little bit of friendly competition, and
Yeah.
and we know that our store teams love to kind of see who can be the top fundraiser each year. So in terms of internal celebration, our team members love to get creative as well, and we've seen a ton of engagement with teams creating their own St. Jude's shirts. We have developed, there's the iconic green aprons. If you visit a JOANN store, that makes it really easy for you to see who might be able to help you find something or give you tips. And we've actually developed in partnership with St. Jude a specific St. Jude branded green apron that really just reinforces every time someone's interacting with a team member in our stores. This is the mission that we're standing behind, loud and proud. But then when you flip over to the customers, even when they're not in our stores, we promote this campaign across all of our marketing channels, including emails that go to millions of customers daily. We have direct mailers. Those are the physical mailers you'd get in your mailbox. We have a huge social media following where we promote the stories of both our patients and the mission of St. Jude, and also a lot of in-store signage. So there definitely is no question when it comes holiday time, what JOANN is trying to do in terms of our charitable fundraising.
So that really gives a great overview for the audience on how JOANN has really created this rallying effect around the partnership, and that filters down from the corporate level all the way down to the stores and to do your warehouse and distribution centers as well. So thanks for sharing that. You talked a little bit about the in-store donations, how they're collected at the point of sale. JOANN is also selling patient-inspired artwork on its e-commerce site. So tell us a little bit about that merchandise and what JOANN is doing to promote it to visitors to its website.
Absolutely. So every year we refresh this program, and every year everyone across the company is just so excited to see what the patients at St. Jude have come up with. So we partner with our amazing folks over at St. Jude and identify patients who, when they're going through treatment. Another thing that we know, and another reason that this partnership makes so much sense, is that a lot of patients, regardless of how old they are really looking for a way to express themselves. So St. Jude offers an incredible artistic expression program, and so through that, they have helped us identify each year art that might be able to be created into a repeating pattern that would be good for a fabric. So using what we call our customizer tool, which is available on joann.com, we've been able to take this art and really turn it into a fabric pattern. And so visitors to joann.com can actually choose which pattern they are interested in. So this year we have, for instance, a patient who created a rocket ship, another one who created kind of a Christmas tree pattern, one with narwhals, one with fish. So some of them are just so bright and inspiring. And the way that we kind of merchandise this on joann.com is each of the patterns is paired with a little bio and picture of the artist behind it. So it really drives home, the connection between the patient and and the fabric. And so people can go, they can choose how much yardage they would want, exactly what type of fabric they want the design printed on. And we've seen an incredible response to this program. And so this landing page where this all lives has seen a ton of traffic throughout the year, because we do, of course, really push this around the holidays and the fundraising program. But we do offer this fabric year round. And since we launched this program, I believe it was about 3 years ago, we've sold thousands of yards of these prints. And with each yard sold, we're able to donate a portion of the proceeds back to St. Jude.
Yeah, that's great. And you mentioned the kind of the connection between the piece of artwork and the artist, the patient at St. Jude. Does that patient know when their artwork has been purchased, and then do they kind of, is there a connection made between, they obviously might see it on the site. Do they know if it's been sold?
They absolutely do. We're super excited to share the results. And we have made unique different items for some of the patients and their families as well with those prints. So we've made pillows for the patient families before from the patient fabric. And if I could, I would love to tell you an incredible story of, again, how kind of full circle our partnership is. So we, in one of our stores, so as many of your listeners may know, JOANN offers classes in our stores, sewing of different skill levels, things like that. And we had a story that came through one of our store managers who said, I was peeking in and out of the classroom, and there was this young girl around 10 years old who was just beaming every time I peeked in. She had her sewing machine. She brought her own sewing machine with her. And she was just so engaged and excited to be showing off what she was learning and what she was creating. And so the store manager began speaking with her mother after the class, and it turned out that this young woman was an aspiring, she wanted to be a fashion designer when she grew up. But the reason that she was in our store that day was because the day before she had just received news from St. Jude that she was cancer-free. So she was a St. Jude patient, and the first thing that she wanted to do when she got that cancer-free diagnosis was to come explore her creativity and get into the creator studio at JOANN with her sewing machine. And so that's an incredible story in itself, right? But then we came to find out that this same exact patient was one of the patients who had designed one of the fabrics that we had chosen for this year's campaign. So it's really just kind of a full circle story of the connection between JOANN and St. Jude, and the connection between creativity and the mission of inspiring these young people.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing that. It's really just speaks to the inspirational movement that you've worked on at JOANN and St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, working together, the difference you're making in these young people's lives. So that's a great story. Thanks for sharing that. I want to talk a little bit, Amanda, about corporate social responsibility and charity, why it's kind of core to the DNA at JOANN, and we'll start there. Talk a little bit about kind of how that's woven into the organization, all the way, like we've talked about, from the corporate level all the way down throughout the organization, and why it's so critical to the business.
Sure. So I think I mentioned that, one thing that we know about JOANN customers and our team members is that they're incredibly giving. And actually, about 2/3 of what we sell goes back to either a charity or someone giving something to a loved one. So again, in our stores, creativity and giving back really go hand in hand. And that goes back all the way to JOANN's founding when we opened the doors of our very first store, actually 80 years ago. So at every opportunity since then, we've really, made it a point to reinforce that JOANN is here for all of the communities that we serve, particularly those who are in need. And we really try to drive that home, the importance of giving to our team members and to our customers, really at every opportunity. So it's truly part of the culture of JOANN to celebrate and recognize all of those organizations who are out in our communities doing amazing work like St. Jude is. We also have some other national partnerships, but we have encouraged all of our stores to give back at the local level as well. We want to make sure that every time someone thinks of JOANN, that they're also thinking of how we can make a positive impact. And, I just think it's really incredible, over the past several years, particularly, that teams have been able to come together, no matter where they are, whether they're in California or Maine or Texas, kind of rallying behind these really impactful causes has brought a sense of unity, I think, to our teams internally. And it just is awesome to see how proud our team members are, whether it's someone at the corporate level or someone who's, a part-time team member in one of our stores or someone who's working in a distribution center, to be able to just come behind a common cause that feels really good, because people want to feel good about where they're working. People want to feel good about where they're shopping. So, I would say from the very beginning, JOANN was founded with a sense of that charitable giving purpose.
Yeah, and your last point, I think I'll echo that. And not only are you making a positive difference in the lives of some of these young patients, but also there's real tangible business benefits for JOANN in terms of that unity that you're creating among your employees. I'd imagine it's a selling point as you're looking to acquire and retain talent at JOANN. And then also to your point about customers, they want to be purchasing and supporting businesses that they feel are share common values that they have, and have a charitable piece to them. So there's that angle as well.
Absolutely. As I mentioned, our store teams are very passionate. Our corporate teams are very passionate. Our DC teams are very passionate. We have no shortage of ideas and people wanting to get involved and bring forward new ways of how we might support causes like St. Jude.
So then my final question, Amanda, is can you go into a little bit of the detail, the impact that JOANN's fundraising efforts have made for St. Jude?
Sure. So as I mentioned, we've raised at this point more than $5 million for St. Jude and its mission. And I think that that the impact at St. Jude is broader than perhaps we even are aware at JOANN. I think that the more that we can inspire positivity, that's kind of really the shared mission that JOANN and St. Jude have is really about inspiring people to make a positive impact, inspiring people to have hope, and really express, who they are, what they're feeling. I think coming together with, again, our 20,000 team members across the nation every year has really brought us a sense of purpose and camaraderie, I would say. And as far as St. Jude, I hope that we are able to be a small part of what they're able to do for patients and their families in terms of maybe inspiring them to have hope and to know that it can get better and that there are millions of people out there who are behind them.
So maybe one last note for the audience. Amanda, I know you mentioned this campaign runs through the end of the year, correct? As we air this episode in mid-December, there's still an opportunity for people to contribute to the St. Jude Thanks and Giving campaign?
Absolutely. I hope that all of your listeners will consider donating to St. Jude either at a JOANN location. You can find your closest store at joann.com. You can also navigate to donate online at joann.com/St. Jude. And the campaign, we kicked it off in early November, but we will be collecting donations through the end of January. So plenty of time to make a literally life-saving difference.
Yeah, that's a great way to close. I want to take the opportunity to thank Amanda Hayes, the Director of Corporate Communications, Diversity, and Inclusion at JOANN Stores, for joining us on today's episode of Total Retail Talks and telling us about the great work that organization is doing in its partnership with St. Jude. So thank you, Amanda.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at mytotalretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.